Here we are at race 2 of the BRT Solo League at Suzuka, the night race, and let's hope it is as good as a race as Nürburgring. Beanchess in the McLaren leading the pack here as we wait for the lights to go green as they crawl up to the lights, and the lights go green and it's a great getaway from Beanchess and an equally as good getaway from Riccardi in second place in the Aston. Into turn 1, pretty clean. Riccardi had to avoid the back of Beanchess there. It goes slightly wide, which has opened the door for Sauner in the Bentley to take that position. Beanchess now has opened a bit of a gap already in the McLaren in P1 as we come through the start of the S's. Just behind Sauner gets up into P2 in the black and white Bentley. And obviously Riccardi has dropped down into P3. And just on his tail we have the green and black Mercedes of Nordell in P4. The 777, and just behind that we have the 699, the beautifully liveried orange with the Canadian maple leaf Porsche of Babin, and those top 4 have already opened a gap to the cars behind, which is Robson and Fantozzi in P5 and 6. And at the back of this queue you can see there's a huge gap, so let's see what happened to the race start. So here's the race start, looking at the Ferrari of Bosman. Someone has a bit of an adventure across the grass into turn 1 there, but everything else is pretty clean. So let's see where it all went wrong. As Bosman loses the position to Robs, and Martinovic tries to go round the outside of the Ferrari. So far so good, and oh, there was the touch. Bosman onto the grass and comes spinning back onto the track and somehow doesn't hit the Porsche. However, it did seem to cause some sort of pile up further behind. It doesn't look like too many cars were caught up in it, just 3 or 4, but that's where the big gap happened. So here we're on board Esteban in the Ferrari, who was the last car to miss this bit of chaos. So here's see what happens. So yeah, so Bosman gets kind of pushed out onto the grass, comes spinning on, just missing the back of the Ferrari, and I think the Porsche braking causes a bit of a pile up behind with a few of the cars getting collected. Looking at the green and white Ferrari of the Spaniard right on the back of Martinovic. He had to back out there, he was too close to it, but that's opened the door for Cassette in the McLaren, who's going to have a look into the chicane. Esteban brakes late, but he brakes too late as the sparks go flying, and he has to wield the position. He was on course to overtake Martinovic, had to back out of it through 130R, and by trying to outbrake Cassette ends up losing the position, and now he has to try and fight his way back. So here the battle for P2, Riccardi in the Aston. The American having a good race so far as we see Beanchess go through 130R. Here he comes, Babin just behind him though. And Riccardi, I don't know what happened there, but he somehow manages to catch that slide. I have to say that was pretty impressive, the fact that he managed to catch that and not really lose any time apart from the position to Babin. Probably has some very big flat spots on his tyres. Might have to alter his strategy now, but he's still in P3 overall at the moment. So here Esteban is starting to catch up to the back as Cassette gets past Martinovic. It means that Esteban is now right on the back of the Porsche. Attempt number 2. Is he close enough? Doesn't look like it. We might have to wait till turn 1, but Martinovic goes deep, and he does exactly the same as what Esteban did a lap earlier, and the Spaniard got a bit of bad luck last time, but a bit of good luck this time to repay for his hard work, and now he's trying to catch up to the McLaren. In the silver standings, and just behind we see a little battle between Watson and Lubobratovic. But here we're looking at Bernard Gandhi, as Gandhi seems to get a good run on that Bentley. Byrne here in the kind of Gulf liveried Bentley, and Gandhi in the pink Aston. Two cars are very hard to miss, and Gandhi now right in the slipstream of the Bentley into 130R. He's going to try and move. Very brave if he does, and he is. Byrne goes defensive on the inside, Gandhi on the outside, side by side into 130R, and Gandhi right round the outside. I think Byrne lifted slightly, but still, all credit to Gandhi for that overtake, because it's very brave to go around the outside, and it was a brilliant overtake. And up into P8 in the silver standings he goes, and Byrne drops into P9, and Watson, it looks like just behind, still holding on to P10. Here we're on board the Spaniard again, as he's catching cassette, and he hasn't been able to get past the McLaren driver yet, but he's getting closer and closer every time. Here we go, through the final section of the S's. He needs a good exit here, and cassette goes wide onto the dirt. Esteban almost gifted the position there, and he'll be happy about that one. Not too much hard work, and got that position nice and easy. However, he goes slightly too aggressive there, and somehow keeps it out the barriers, and just goes for a little adventure across the grass there. And he was gifted a position and almost blew it, but he did very well to not bin the car. And he manages to hold on now, which will be P2 in silver class, and P6 overall. Here we have a brilliant battle for P3 here. We have Beechest just behind these two, who's already pitted, so he's still technically the overall leader. However, Leiter holding on to P3 from Matthews, coming through 130R. And oh my word, what is going on there? Leiter has to take some avoiding action going across the grass, and he loses the position. Matthews goes deep and cuts the corner. Then Leiter across here, Beechest, oh, and he goes into the side of Beechest, and oh my word, somehow doesn't get collected by the Bentley, but I think we need to have a look at what happened there. Firstly, with what happened with McNamara through 130 and how Leiter managed to avoid the back of him, and then what happened after there with Leiter coming in contact with our technically race leader Beechest. The Lamborghini of the Brazilian going into 130R. So Matthews is obviously pretty much alongside him here as they go into 130R. Fine corner, and I'm guessing McNamara must have spun, and oh my word, he did well. Both him and Matthews did well to avoid him, and I think Matthews, by trying to avoid him, ends up missing his braking zone, goes too deep into the corner, and then here, yeah, it looks like, and I can't believe McNamara didn't collect the Lamborghini there. And there was, and Beechest didn't spin, but it looks like there was some sort of clutch problem there. As the clutch kind of kicked in, the revs went high, and the Lamborghini spun the rear wheels, which is why he hit it to the side. We've had an absolutely brilliant battle here between the Canadian and the Brazilian. They've been battling it out all the way since lap 1, these two. Same car, similar pace, and Fantozzi's managed to fend off Robs, but Robs really not finding really a way to get past him, because with them being so similar paced, he can't really find an overtaking opportunity. Now here maybe Fantozzi makes a little mistake. Is he going to have a look into the chicane? Fantozzi goes deep, and he's cut the corner there. Is he going to have to give that position to Robs? However, he dives into the pits, and so does Robs, actually not going for an overcut or anything. He's going to try and beat them in the pit lane, and we'll have to see how that goes. It'll be very interesting. Can he overtake him on the track? Can he do it in the pits? Meanwhile, Beechest, our race leader, about 15 seconds up from P2. He's already done his pit stops. Absolutely commanding lead, and unless there's some sort of big error or some mechanical problem or something, it looks like he's going to go on to win this race with the gap he has currently. Now here we see Robs dropping off the jacks. Fantozzi's already away, however he's too far back, and just like I thought might happen, he's managed to jump him in the pits. Robs has managed to do what he couldn't do on track in the pits, and that will put him into P4 overall and P1 in silver class. I know Fantozzi's a pro driver, so that wouldn't have changed no matter whether he's ahead or behind. However, the overall standings, he's now in P4, which will be an extraordinary result for him. Now here we have a battle for P4 between Babin and Matthews. Coming up into 130R here. Babin on a different strategy here, has so much more speed than the Aston Martin driver. Is he going to go? He's not quite close enough into 130R. However, Matthews pretty much gifts him the position. Thought better of trying to defend it, with Babin being so much quicker on this strategy. And Babin now up into, I think, P3. And he'll be trying to either P3 or P4. I think P4, and he's on his way to try and find that last podium position. Now here we have a really interesting battle with 5 laps to go. We have Letzkerman here in this kind of baby blue Ferrari number 35, and just behind him we have Bosman in this neon yellow, and behind him we have Watson in the green Bentley. But what's interesting is Watson decided to change tyres at his pit stop, so he's on fresh rubber, while Bosman and Letzkerman both decided to do a splash and dash, so they're on worn tyres. And with 5 laps to go, Watson has been gaining about 2 seconds a lap on these two, and that is going to be a very interesting final laps as Letzkerman goes slightly deep, and as you see the sparks flying up as he goes across the gravel. Bosman has a look, Letzkerman goes defensive, Bosman tries to go around the outside, Letzkerman forces him off track, and it looks like he's managed to hold on to that position. However, Letzkerman, he's gone deep and he's gone into the gravel, and Bosman takes the position, and not only that, but Watson has now managed to also get past Letzkerman, and by trying to defend that too hard, instead of just losing 1 position, Letzkerman's now lost 2, and the Canadian is going to find it hard to try and catch these two now, because Watson on fresher tyres is going to have much more pace. So unless there's a skirmish between Watson and Bosman, is that going to be it for Letzkerman? Bosman. This is the battle for P6 in the silver standing. Some good solid points here. So Letzkerman goes obviously wide, and then Bosman tries to go around the outside. Letzkerman goes defensive. Bosman has to lift, and then tries to go around the outside of this corner, gets squeezed out, goes onto the runoff area, and then it looks like Letzkerman keeps the position, and then just overshoots that corner onto the gravel. And then not only does Bosman get past, but the big green Bentley of Watson also manages to get past. Now Watson will be on the hunt to try and get Bosman on these much fresher tyres. Laps to go. Watson is right on the back of Bosman, and he's just not managed to get past this Ferrari yet. Bosman has managed to defend really well. The South African positioning his car perfectly and getting really good exit through the corners where Watson can take and overtake it. Watson's been faster through the S's, but that doesn't really mean anything because he can't really overtake through the S's. And Bosman's been able to get some great exit on the crucial corners. Watson getting a really good exit here. Maybe into the hairpin. Is it going to be close enough? No, it doesn't look like it. They go under the bridge. Watson flashing his light, telling Bosman, trying to distract him. I'm coming for you here. Really lay on the brakes into the hairpin. And look at those bright orange disc brakes as the heat that goes through that. Letzkerman hanging on just behind. The Canadian keeping that gap to around 1.5 seconds, meaning that if anything comes of these two battling out and holding up one another, he could pick up the pieces. Now, coming into the spoon curve, Watson needs a good exit here, and he's got a very good entry. Can he get a good exit? It looks like it here, using all the exit curve he has. He can necessarily use without getting a track warning. Right in the slipstream of the Ferrari here. Can Watson trying to make a move here? Dives to the inside, into 130R here. Can he make a move? Is he close enough? No, he backs out of it. And he's too far back to try and make a move into the chicane here. And he needs to wait another lap. However, we're now going on to the penultimate lap of the race. He's running out of laps. He needs to make a move later rather than sooner. Here we go, through the final corner, into turn 1, on board of the Bentley here. Is he close enough to make a move into turn 1? It doesn't look like it unless he is very late on the brakes, a bit of a lunge here, but no, he's smart about it. He gets a good into turn 1, a brilliant entry into turn 2 as Bosman goes slightly deep, and he uses all that exit curve again. But again, the S's, you just can't overtake through the S's. You can't really get any closer here because it'll unsettle the car. to settle for P8 now, because with only one more lap to go after this one, I don't think there's enough time for Watson in the Bentley to catch up to the two ahead, even on the fresher tyres after that mistake. I think it was a bit of frustration, too eager on the throttle, and he did well to not spin, but that's his chances ended. Here through 130R, one final time. An absolutely brilliant drive by the Dutchman through the chicane. One more corner, pole position, fastest lap, and now race winner Chris Beaches. Absolutely brilliant drive by him, and really deserving of the race win. And not far behind, the Canadian Babbitt had an absolute brilliant drive to get up into P2, and that is a really good result for him. And although he had a spin through 130R early on, great strategy and brilliant driving and good defensive driving, holding off Nordell just behind. The American Ricciardi comes home for the final step on the podium in P3, and that is a brilliant race by him. And Nordell must be a bit frustrated missing out by under a second there. But the drama didn't end there, and on the final lap, the luck really ran out for the South African here. Bosman, not only did he get caught up in that little spin at the start of the race, but actually underfueled the car, and not only loses the position to Letkman, but here, as we see, Watson in the Bentley manages to get that position, and he drops from P6 to P8 in the silver standings on the final lap. It must be absolutely devastating after all the hard work of getting past Letkman, fending off Watson, and then just running out of fuel, having to go into the ultra fuel saving mode. It must be so devastating. And that's not all. The drama did end there, because here, the battle for P4 in the silver standings between Leiter and Tan here into 130R. The Mercedes, with that much superior straight line speed, surely gets the position done into 130R, and Leiter just turns in on him. And the two of them sent sliding. Leiter manages to do actually really well to hold on to it, but Tan spinning, and probably it's not the way either of them wanted to end the race, because Leiter probably knows he'll get a penalty in the next race, and Tan obviously thinking he was going to get P4 in the silver standings, now has to settle for P5. But yeah, the drama really going right to the final lap and almost the final corner of this race in Pro Silver, and overall just absolutely brilliant race by these two. But yeah, not the way we want to end, and Tan rightly so flashing his lights at the Lamborghini driver. But what a great race this has been.